Hello everyone, it is Sunday night and we are coming to you live from inside of Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida to help you wind down your weekend. As always, I'm your host Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to tell you about all of this week's latest and greatest in indie and small press new releases. But of course, before we can talk about comics, if we are going to wind down our weekend, we have to have our wine that we are going to be trying out. And this week, I'm excited because we're trying a different kind of wine. This is Les Laurent Delaunay, and it is a Beaujolais wine, and it is supposed to have a lot of stuff that we really like in it. It's like full-bodied. It's got some strawberry flavor. It's not full-bodied. Medium-bodied. I just remember you saying bodied. Nobody brings up the body if it's weak. It's medium-bodied. It's got strawberry flavors. It's got, oh my gosh, you had so many things that you said it had flavors of. What does it have flavor? It's floral. I know you have this long list of all the things about it. I said strawberries. Yes, I was like, that one I know, strawberries. But there's supposed to be a lot of good stuff in here. I'm really excited to try it. We're going to see. Violet?
Blueberry and cassie. Sour morello, cherry, thyme. Strawberry, floral, earth, medium body.
Okay. I can smell that it's floral. But I don't smell like the blueberry or anything, so we'll see if it tastes like all of that. I just did inhale a lot of the smell. Oh, wow. That does have a lot of those flavors. Oh my gosh. That's like wine candy. That's
like shrinking like strawberry flowers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I can taste the blueberry on it too. Like that's one of those and the blueberry is subtle. Like when you get a good blueberry muffin and it just like the whole bread tastes like blueberry, like the whole wine has that like blueberry experience. This is really good. And where's this from?
France.
No, I know it's from France. I know it's French.
It's from the Beaujolais
I meant, what
Villages.
store did you buy it from?
Total Wine.
Total Wine.
It's $10.99.
It's $10.99. All right.
Next to the Coaster Room.
Okay. I'm like, I did not get enough of this already. I can already tell. But yeah, this is going to be, oh my gosh, this is such a good wine. It's only $10.99, so this is a great choice. Honestly, this one, if you're going to like Christmas parties, this would be a great wine for Christmas parties because it feels like it would go with all the sweet flavors of Christmas and all of the salty flavors of Christmas because it's just really going to blend with those like heavy, rich food textures. And yet it's like got a warm feeling to it. Like it does have like it's not quite vanilla, but something that feels like in that like that zone of Christmas flavoring. I don't know, this is like the wine I want on Christmas Day now.
And it's not heavy.
It's not heavy, and that's why it would go nicely with the heavier foods because it is a lighter, like medium kind of thing. So it'd be great, like, again, like, I just imagine if I showed up to somebody's house where I was actually in a cold weather place and I had my jacket, like this would be, like I'd take off my jacket and I'd hand them the bottle of wine and be like, this will go great with dinner tonight. And instead, I'm going to be in a warm weather place and I'm not going to wear a jacket and I'm just going to drink this wine and it's going to be fine and delicious. I'm going to end up drinking all of my wine. Oh, wow. The more you drink, the more, like, flavors come through, too. I like that cherry, like, blends so nicely with the other fruits. It's not, like, just, like, a straight cherry blend. Like, a lot of times I feel like cherry overtakes wine when it's in it. But this doesn't. It tastes, like, so nice. All right, so we're gonna talk about comics because otherwise I'm gonna talk about this wine all night because it's so good. We're gonna talk about comics before we dive into them. Just a couple of things that happened this week at Bat City that were really exciting. We had an awesome zine night. There was like 20 people who came out for zine night this week. Thank you to everybody who showed up and who made zines with us. Our zines for this collaborative zine will be made a little bit later. But if you did come for September, no, we're in October, or we're in November. If you came for the October zine night, And then the local comic shop Daisy Night. I do know that Kelly from Ringling, who's our awesome librarian partner, has been putting those together. So those will be available soon at Bat City, which will be great. And then we'll get this one printed as well. So you'll be able to get your originals back if you want, but you'll also be able to get copies soon. This Saturday, we also had Miss Katie's Kids Art Class, which was awesome. Thank you to everybody who came out and made some really cute critters with Katie. That happens once a month for free for kids of all ages and all skill levels, so feel free to bring your kids out. Hey, okay. This Wednesday we have manga meetup at 6 p.m. We're going to be talking about all of the manga that we love. Whatever manga you're reading, it doesn't really matter. Come out and talk about it. This Thursday we have Fresh Start Book Club, and we are reading issue 1 of Black Magic. If you don't know Fresh Start Book Club, we only read the first issue of a comic so that we can see if it's going to be, like, what it's going to be about and if it's something for us. And then if you want to keep going forward, you can jump into the rest of that series and go from there. But it's just a fun way each month to get to know something new. And we do the book club books for $1. This month is Black Magic #1. Like I said, I'm very excited. This is a series that I absolutely love, and I cannot wait to talk about it. It is not complete yet, so you're going to hear me complain a lot about how I want us to get back to the series, but that'll start at 7 p.m. on Thursday. And then this Saturday, November 15th, I'm so excited. It's one of my favorite events of the year, is the annual ChiliCon Comics Chili Cook-Off here at Bat City. There's going to be some fun and games for the kids and adults to play. There's going to be tons of awesome ways that you can participate in those games and also eat some chili while you're at it. We're going to have a chili cook-off. People will be out here cooking their chili. You can try it. And then you're going to be able to vote for your favorite chili by entering in to win a prize. Buying raffle tickets for a prize that we'll have will actually get you a chance to vote for the fan favorite chili. There is still time to sign up to be a contestant for the chili cook-off. If you just send us a message or email us, we will get you a space reserved for you. It's going to be so much fun. You're not going to want to miss it. We had a blast last year. And so there's no rules. I will say this. There's rules. Like, you can't put, like, crack in your chili. That's cheating. But you can make whatever kind of chili you want. If you have a secret family recipe, if you're like, I like white bean chili, if you're like, I like chili with chicken in it, if you like vegan chili, whatever kind of chili you like, you can make that chili and bring it out for the competition. There's not like, you have to be like classic traditional chili. This is an open competition for things of all different chili natures. Last year we had Cincinnati chili in the thing, so we actually had the spaghetti and everything you could pour it on. We had a classic chili. We had white bean chilies. We had chicken chilies. We had verde chilies. Like, we had smoked chili. We had all kinds of different things. And so whatever chili speaks to your heart, bring it out, share it with people. Just ask that you make enough to share with people, because there's going to be a lot of hungry people who are going to want to try that chili. So bring it out and come hang out with us this Saturday, and you could win a prize and have a lot of fun with us. All right, that's what we've got going on. Also, don't forget the last Saturday of the month is Small Business Saturday, and there will be a bunch of stuff going on as well that day to celebrate throughout the neighborhood, but in general, all of the local small businesses. So make sure you're saving some time for that. But we're going to talk about that more in the future. Right now, we're going to talk about all those small press and indie books that came out this week that I know you're going to love. And so we're going to kick it off with issue 24 of Void Rivals from Image, Skybound, and the Inner John universe. This is kind of your center point, your cornerstone of what Robert Kirkman and team are building in that Inner John universe, which is Transformers meets G.I. Joe. And it kind of centers on a completely different world. This is all about two planets that have been at war with each other for a really long time, and they've been told that their differences just needed to be kept apart or they would fight. Turns out they're actually not that different. Turns out that the reason they're fighting is because of some secret stuff that the leaders have been force-feeding down to them for so long, which includes some gods, some mysterious, like, end-of-the-universe kind of stuff, and some secrets revolving Energon, which is, of course, the source of life and energy for the Transformers. This has had some Transformers in it, and it's kind of led to them starting to tell us a little bit more about their needs for Energon and how these people might be able to actually help them. Our characters in this issue find themselves post a little mini battle, and we're starting to see, oh, we're all going to be on the same side now kind of situations, except, politicians and diplomats never actually mean what they say, and there's a lot of underhandedness already coming to play in this issue. We are definitely seeing this start to cross over more and more with at least the Transformer side of the story, so if you're reading Transformers, you might want to pick up Void Rivals. And speaking of crossing over with that world, we've got issue 13 of G.I. Joe, also from Image Comics, Skybound, and the Energon universe. This one actually does a nice job of giving you a little recap, and I'm going to put it on that page for you for a second, of how the Transformers came to the world and how the Joes kind of formed around the idea of stopping these robot aliens that are kind of attacking all over the planet. We also get to see a little bit about how Cobra Commander and Deathstroke came to rise and all of that. Before we see Duke going out to say goodbye to a fallen friend, and Cobra Commander actually being out in the field on his own this time and trying to find a mysterious source of Energon that's been going off in the desert. And when he gets there, there's some double crossing and some crazy stuff going on. And we find out that, maybe Deathstroke isn't so happy playing second fiddle to Cobra, as we all assumed and knew he wasn't. But he is starting to kind of lead these mutinies with other members of his crew. And we get to see an unlikely alliance as Cobra Commander finds himself in real danger. And there's nobody out there to take his side. And who is it that's going to protect him and fight with him in that kind of situation? We'll find out as we read the book. We've got Minor Arcana issue 11 from Boom Studios. This is Jeff Lemire telling us another family drama story that he's kind of put into a mystical world. We are following a woman named Teresa who has left home and her alcoholism and her family drama behind her, and finds herself stuck coming back to that home when her mother finds out that she has cancer. And Teresa is very much mad at her generational trauma and everything that comes with it. Well, being back here, she's had to take over for her mom, which means running her mom's psychic business. Now, her mom's always been a fraud and her psychic skills are not real, but Teresa seems to find herself in a very different position. And as she is diving further and further into her psychic abilities, she's actually getting more and more terrified of what she's discovering, not only about herself, but about her family and her town around her. And the more she tries to confront her mom about it, the harder it becomes for the two of them to talk. And there's some really dark things brewing in the town, and only she can see what's going on. We've got DuckTales issue 8 from Dynamite Comics and their Disney imprint. This is just a fun, exciting story. This is a great one for you to share with kiddos if you have any kids in your life who got into the new DuckTales series, or if you want to just share your DuckTales nostalgia with them. But this is a series about Huey, Dewey, and Louie going on different adventures with their Uncle Scrooge. And in this one, Scrooge is mad because Gizmo Duck was supposed to stop a bank robbery and ended up destroying the bank in more damage than would have happened if they would have just let the Beagle Boys rob the bank. And so Scrooge is mad about the loss that he's taking, so he takes out Gizmo Duck and the secret identity of Gizmo Duck, who is his accountant, and takes him up to a space place that he has, a space, what are they called? Space station, but actually on a planet that Scrooge kind of has property on, and he's telling him he's got to sit there and stay up there and stay away from everything else, when a mysterious space pirate actually attacks the planet, and Scrooge needs help getting saved, and only, of course, Gizmo Duck can come to the rescue, and Scrooge learns maybe the dangers and the damages are worth it just to have a friend in his corner. We've got Rook Exodus, issue 8 from Image and the Ghost Machine imprint. This is a really fun story I'm so glad that it's back, and we're going to see a lot of recapping in this issue. Issue 7 was kind of the first one back to this, but this is kind of giving us more of that exposition again. If you don't know this story, this is all about essentially a futuristic society where we've destroyed the planet, and corporations trying to help Earthlings, and make money, have gone off into different places and colonize different planets. And the way that they did it was they built their own like engines that would create life on all these other planets. And then they brought in these people who acted as game wardens, but in a different way, in that they wore helmets that allowed them to talk to animals and teach them how to be a part of the planet system. Well, when we destroyed those planets, there was nothing left to do but get all of the rich people off of those planets and take them to yet another planet. And now the people who remain are trying to figure out how they can save this planet before it completely destroys. And it's up to them and their animals to kind of find the way to do that. And we find out in this issue that our biggest saving grace for this is actually going to be to have one of the engineers, who was also a game warden, do his best to put that engine back into working order. Unfortunately for our people, he has gone full animal and has no way of communicating with anybody anymore except for the wild dog pack. And so they are trying to bring him back, and they end up in some very dangerous, scary positions as they have to travel further and further underground into the layers of animals that don't want human involvement. And we're just now seeing everything kind of break apart. Hopefully we'll see them put it all back together, because they are running out of time for sure. We've got Thundercats Lost, issue 8 from Dynamite. This is your side story in your Thundercats world. If you've been following along with the main Thundercat story, the Thundercats have come from Thundara after it was destroyed to live on Third Earth. What we learn is that there was a mission before them that ended up on Third Earth, and this is actually that mission. And so we've been seeing them go through different trials trying to figure out what Third Earth is and whether or not it's a viable place for the Thundercats to move to. And everywhere they turn, they are being attacked by people who just kind of want to take them out. And also talking about how cats have been here before and how it's a dangerous space for cats to be, and that cats themselves are the danger to this place. We have recently seen one of our Thundercats get gravely injured, and they're kind of starting to all fall apart at the seams, as this team really was not meant to be a team that worked together and definitely hasn't figured it out yet. And this issue leads us into some bigger battles, and the idea that maybe it's not okay to punch first and ask questions later, but maybe they need to actually start figuring out why people don't trust Thundercats on this place if they are ever going to actually move the rest of the people there. Adventure Time, issue 7 from Oni Press. For you Adventure Time fans who haven't jumped into this, this is kind of an alternate timeline for Adventure Time. It's not necessarily following any of your stories, but giving you a whole new one that is going to have a lot of fan service moments that connect to stories from the Adventure Time world. In this, Finn and Jake have been on an adventure to try to find a book that can help just kind of solve some really big problems that are happening. And of course, Finn is trying to prove that he is the ultimate adventurer and that he's not a little kid and that he can actually do the best that he can do. But Jake keeps trying to have fun and it's not working. The two have separated at this point because they're mad at each other. And Computer Princess has made duplicates of everybody, and those duplicates have lost their ever-loving minds and have attacked everybody. And now we see Jake trapped in an evil world where he is kind of losing his mind. And while he's there and that's happening, he is thinking about all of the reasons why he should have trusted Finn. And Finn, who has finally found the book but has become possessed by the demon that is guarding it, is also thinking maybe he should have listened to Jake and been more willing to have fun while the time still existed. And are these two going to make it out alive? Is anybody going to make it out alive from Computer Princess's terrible choices? We're going to find out as the story unfolds. Bronze Faces, issue 6 from Boom Studios. This is the wrap-up of Bronze Faces. This is the story of a group of people who were all raised by the same man who created a bunch of the bronze masks and faces that represented their people group. And when he passes away, all of those faces are stuck in different museums on display around the world. And these people come together to figure out that how they can steal back the mask and their culture in the process. And so over the last 6 issues, they've been doing just that. They've been going around the world and vigilante style breaking into art museums and stealing back the art that belongs to them and that they feel should not be on display, but should belong to their people. And a lot of bad things have happened. The team has really fallen apart. We've seen a lot of breakdowns in the family group and the team at large. And there is one mask left to find and one family situation left to address. And that is exactly where we are in this issue. And we see them try to kind of figure out how to put that all together. And we see them try to go out on this final run, which is very much a broken person and a broken team and a broken family. And can that all go back together is a question that only the last few pages of this book actually can answer for you. We've got Vanishing Point issue 6 from Man Cave and Mark Russell. And this is an anthology of sci-fi and existential problems and life in the way that Mark Russell loves to do. And this is actually a great story. This was one that, like, I really was like, oh man, this is one of those Mark Russell stories that I definitely think everybody should pick up. This is about a robot coming in. They believe that it's an alien robot and it attacks Waxahachie, Texas, which is really weird because it's a small town that not very many people live in, and yet I know like probably half of that town. So it's crazy to me to see it in a book. But this robot comes in and is attacking that, and they have the president of the United States is informed about it, only to find out that like it's going towards a research center where they are working on some, black hole development and things like that. And it is actually his daughter who runs that facility. And so he is determined to get there and figure out what he can do to help. This robot, though, seems to be unstoppable with alien technology that's beyond our wildest dreams. And he keeps trying to figure out how they can send in more help and more help and more help to stop it. And because it is a one-shot, the second half is going to tell you exactly what that robot is and where it came from and all of the details. But I will say Mark Russell is definitely giving you the sci-fi version of Ice Cream Man in these stories. And so if you are liking like the easy sci-fi stories and you want more and you want longer version of those stories, Vanishing Point is definitely doing just that. And Mark Russell is nailing it. And this is definitely one of my favorite issues of Vanishing Point so far. We've got Illuminati issue 5 from AW. Who finds out that her sister has moved to LA and wants to have like that big music career and be famous and everything, and her sister ends up murdered, and she wants to figure out what exactly is going on in that situation and how she ended up that way. Well, she ends up getting to that place and discovering that not only is her sister murdered, but also like there is a whole conspiracy going on with the recording studio and the company that runs that. And so she ends up trying to solve this murder of her sister, and in fact finding herself in a very similar position and having to make some big choices about is she going to join with them or is she going to stand against it and turn them all in. And in the last issue we saw that she chose to join into this organization because she'd rather be famous than turn them in. And we've seen kind of how that plays out for her in this issue, and I don't want to show you too much from that end, but she definitely has to continue to make those choices. Like now that she's sold out, and not only her own soul but her sister's, where does she go from there? We've got Bitchcraft issue 5 from Mad Cave. This is also the wrap up, at least for now, of this story. And this one actually gives us a lot of exposition towards our characters that we've never gotten, which is really cool. If you don't know this story, this is about 3 witches who are trying their best to kind of be the witches of their time. And in the very first issue, they cast a spell that ends up causing essentially an eternal eclipse. And so they're the world is living in darkness and everything is going completely wrong because of that. And it also awakens this woman who's like this ancient like witch hunter who's been like a fallen angel essentially and trying to capture the magic of all the witches and use it against them. And so now she knows that witches are available again, and so she starts coming after them and rounding up different witches, and it's up to these three to solve the thing. And we actually learn why in this issue and who the mother that they've been representing is all this time, because we do get to see the witches of the past and how they connect to these witches, and also just how important it is for their powers to be used the way they've always been meant to open up and into them. And so we get to see a lot of that in this issue as they explore who they are, who they want to be, and actually figure out how they can possibly save the day and solve this problem. If you're looking for one that actually has like a witchcraft book that also kind of leans more into that modern witchcraft, especially things like Wicca and like Wiccan magic specifically, and some of those other like modern, what is the word I'm looking for? Not modern, but there's another, anyway, neoclassical witchcraft kind of situations. There is a lot of that in here that you'll see. Look Into My Eyes, issue 4 from Mad Cave. This is a story of a group of teenagers who live on this island, and when a bunch of people start going missing, they can't really figure out why, and it specifically starts with one girl, and it kind of quickly rolls into a lot of other teenagers missing. And the big thing is that there is a new social media app that has been on this, like given to these people on this island, this new corporation in general, and one person kind of has this distrust for it and is kind of trying to expose not only that, but the missing teenager and the other things that are going on. And as they're doing that, they kind of reconnect with some people in the wrong way, some bullies and things like that. And they all find themselves at school when essentially a monster breakout happens. And now they've been trying to deal with these monsters that are taking over bodies and attacking people. And we find out in the last issue some big connections between some of our teenagers and the situation at hand. In this issue, they are trying to figure out how they can get beyond that and maybe to a safe space and maybe off this island. But in reality, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case as they find out more and more people are involved, and the dangers that the adults pose and the missing teenagers pose just kind of get a little bit bigger. One of the cool things about this book is that it is a mixed media book in a really cool way. So you'll find there'll be pages, and let's see, even the back page always has it, but I'll just turn to that actually. There is on the back page and throughout the book, there's always a QR code on different pages. And within that QR code, if it's in the story, you actually see people's like DMs or their posts on the social media, which is done by the Canon Corp. Or this one always at the back of the book takes you to a zine that's made by our teenager who doesn't believe in them. And it's an online digital zine that you can read and get more information about the universe and the characters' thoughts on it, which is really cool. We've got Gargoyles, Demona, issue 4 from Dynamite and their Disney Comics imprint. This is following a lot of people's favorite gargoyle, Demona, and all of her surly wisdom as she travels angrily throughout the history of the world. In this, it is Demona and Angelica going on different adventures. Kind of why was Demona not in the Gargoyle series? Here it is. This is what she's been doing. And you know Demona, if you know Demona, you know she's this eternal gargoyle who wants absolutely nothing to do with humans because they've constantly wronged people, and gargoyles specifically, and she's very vengeful and angry. But in this issue, she has taken Angelica back to a place that they've visited before because she wants to make sure that Angelica gets the opportunity that she wanted to have a chance to see this person that she's loved before and also reconnect with some of the people there. But while they're there, a priceless heirloom goes missing that seems to have some magical power, and everybody's really concerned about who it was, and Demona and Angelica have to help them figure out who took it, why they took it, and there's some twists and turns along the way of who's backstabbing who and who is really the bad guy in this story. We've got Cruel Universe, issue 2, number 4 from the EC imprint of Oni Press. If you like your horror anthologies or sci-fi anthologies or any of those from the past when EC was around, Oni Press has brought them back, and they're giving us some really great stories. There are 3 in this one. The first one is called True Believer, and it is about somebody who starts one of those death cults, and a girl is brings her friend in and is like, hey, we have this really great cult. Aliens are coming. We know that, like, that's who the ultimate god is these aliens. They're going to come and save the day. And she's like, you've had a tough life. You've lost all of the stuff that you had. Come with us. And she ends up introducing her to the supreme leader of this cult, who she flat out accuses of being completely and totally fake. And he admits that he is, until some aliens do actually show up and things do change for everybody involved. And then we have a second story, which is from Cecil Castellucci, and it's called A Helping Hand. And it's all about this woman who figures out a way to kind of advance science and technology very quickly. And the things that she creates seem like they're very helpful. And I love this one because one of the things that, you know, we see in these situations often in these stories is that they get like, oh, I did all this stuff and it was great, and then it goes bad really fast. This girl is like, hey, I did all this stuff and this was great and this was great, and I basically created a utopia. And like the whole story goes on that way until the very last part of it, where you actually get to see like what would really come of those kinds of situations. And then the last story is just called Beat the Clock. It's all about a woman who is an influencer for the fact that there's like this life band that will tell you exactly how much time you have left in your life. And so she's like, here's how the best way to use your life when your life band tells you how many times you have. And she's always seems so positive and excited, but that's because she's always believed she had like 78 years left to live. But when she wakes up one day and finds out that she just has a couple of days left to live, suddenly everything goes wrong for her. She sees herself losing her sponsorships and all the different things, and really struggling with maybe, just maybe, life is different when you don't actually have the unlimited time that you thought you did. We've got Wild Animals issue 4 from Mad Cave. This is the story of a young guy who finds out that his dad was, you know, or has been taught his whole life, I guess, that his dad was a police officer who was murdered by his partners, who had gone rogue, and his mom and him have been in hiding ever since. Well, after his mom passes away, he decides he's going to go back to the town that his family is from, and he is going to find the police officers and expose them for what they did. Well, in issue 2, when he first meets one of the police officers that was on that team, he accidentally kills him in their struggle to fight against each other while he's trying to get him to admit who he is. And now he's been dealing with the fallout of actually having killed someone and being in that town, and now the cops are after him. In this issue, he learns that there's some very big truths, possible truths, that would change everything he believed about his entire life. But after he's already started killing people and going down a dark path, is there any way to turn back? It's a Mad Cave book, so there's probably only one issue left, and I am really curious, if there is, how they're going to wrap it all up, because he has had some big crazy things happen, and this is like, there's so much to try to wrap up in one issue. We've got Texarcanum issue 4 from Dark Horse. This is the wrap-up of this series for now, and I really hope that we get to see this character go on some more journeys, because it does kind of have like a Western Constantine feel, which has been really cool, and I wasn't sure at the beginning where they were going with it, and as it wraps up, I definitely think that they pulled off a really great story. But this is all about a man, like I said, who has kind of a Constantine feel. He has the ability to talk to demons and investigate paranormal experiences, and he's been called in to do that in this area where essentially a Hatfield-McCoy's kind of situation is going on. These two families have been warring over land for hundreds of years, and they're trying to figure it out. And because of all of the dark, stupid things that they're doing, the whole rest of the city has been struggling, and people have been dying, property has been dying, all kinds of stuff. And so he has been brought in to figure out a solution to that, and he's decided he's going to find the deed to who actually owns the land. And in order to do that, he's going to have to go back essentially to the Pony Express kind of situation. And so he ends up on a ghost train in this issue, trying trying to find the letters so that he can prove who did what. Really cool way they did this. Absolutely love the wrap-up of this. And we get to learn a lot about him, a little bit in each issue. And it was really cool how the breadcrumbs led to a really interesting story for him. And again, I really like this character now, and I want to definitely see more of him in the future. We are VR Troopers. VR Troopers issue 4 from Boom Studios. If you are a fan of the VR Troopers, this feels very much like watching the show. If you're a fan of Power Rangers and you've never jumped into VR Troopers, or if you don't know if you are, this is a great spot to jump in. This is about 3 teenagers, I guess, with attitude, but not the attitude that the Power Rangers have, going, also in Angel Grove, having their own world of figuring out how to fight against aliens and different things that are happening. And in this series, one of the guys finds that there is somebody who seems to have his same signature and is able to call upon his suit, and they don't know what's happening, and that person keeps attacking him. And so they have been trying to figure it out. Well, last issue they did figure out who that was, and in this issue we are getting the backstory of all of these relatives and their experience tying into the world of this particular trooper. And that the world at large is in a crazy amount of danger, and that the people who run the VR Trooper program, the elitarians, may not be the good guys, and that we might actually have to fight against everything we stand for in order to actually make a difference. But can you trust the people who are showing up who have never actually been an active part of your life and who have always lied to you? You don't know, but we're going to figure that out as this story keeps going. Godzilla issue 4 from IDW. This is a part of our new Keisei era, the new Godzilla universe, which is the new Godzilla world for all Godzilla. So it's really cool to see that this is actually in conjunction with that. This is Tim Seeley writing this Godzilla story, and it's really cool to see just what kind of stuff they're building out for this new world, which seems to be very much that Godzilla energy is kind of a transferable thing, and we're seeing a lot of like humans getting that power in this. And so the Godzilla proper title, which is this one, follows a team of G-Force people who are working to figure out how Godzilla is getting around to parts of like the center parts of America, and the parts that don't have water near them, and how he's showing up and destroying some of these cities. This is actually him near water, but he's showing up and destroying cities, and they're not really sure, and they've figured out now that he's going through tunnels that are being caused by other kaiju, and they're trying to figure out why he's doing that and why Godzilla is attacking, because that's not a normal thing. Meanwhile, we also have a new member of the team who actually has the same Kaisai power that Godzilla has, and is able to kind of feel that, and he feels like there's some like darkness between him and Godzilla, that he has to take out Godzilla because of it. And he has this vendetta against Godzilla for the damages he's caused to his own family. But we're starting to see that that might not be the case. We're also learning that there are very different kaiju in this world, and there's a lot of stuff that's going on that's very strange and unusual. And I'm really curious to see where this goes and what exactly they're going to be putting together. And if you're reading all the Godzilla books that are also a part of this era, you're starting to see a theme going on with all these different kaiju, and I'm curious if we're going to see that kind of come to play in kaiju movies as they come out too. We've got issue 4 of Big Rig from Vault Comics and Post Malone. It's always a thicker book with lots of story in it, and so we're gonna dive right in. If you have not read this book is wild. Essentially, it is about the Knights Templar kind of looking for somebody who can save them, and they are calling for people to come back and like help them fight against these demons. And what comes back is a giant like 18-wheeler truck, and this guy named Trucker, who actually like can fight like for them and is this knight. Like he was a Knights Templar, and he was given this power to operate this like giant big rig. Well, he's back. He's working with a witch and a couple of other like people from different cultures in the time, and they are trying to fight against all this evil and these demons that are coming out. And we actually see this like woman who is the devil essentially, and she's come through. She's got her own demons that she's leading up, and she's talking about all of the stuff that is going to be coming their way that they won't be able to stop. In this issue, they are trying to figure out how to stop that particular battle. And this is mostly just that big battle between the people who thought that they could align with the devil and find themselves thinking that that's going to save them, only to have it not lead to that at all. And then there is also all the people who are standing up against it. It's shocking how much stuff happens in every single one of these issues that keeps moving the world forward. But when every time we think we've got the devil in like control, things just get worse and worse for our team. And we'll see if they keep this going forever, if they ever can win. We've got Speed Racer issue 4 from Mad Cave. This is one half of our Speed Racer universe coming out of Mad Cave right now. We've got the Speed Racer proper and then the Racer X title. This one follows Speed, obviously, as he is trying to figure out how to get really, really good at racing really quickly, because his father has been attacked by the villains of the story and is in the hospital. And it turns out hospital bills are really expensive and Speed doesn't have the money to cover it. And so Speed has recently taken the Mach 5 that his dad had built and put it into racing. But he doesn't know how to go against all of these people and all of the stuff that they do, that all the cheating and the planning and the scheming. And luckily for Speed, Racer X has offered to kind of be his ally on the track. And that's really good, because they bring back the Black Jaguar in this issue, and Speed is not prepared for somebody who fights that dirty, and the two of them have to figure out how to race. This is our first issue that really leaves on a big cliffhanger, and so that race, every issue we've seen Speed kind of come to the end of the race and being like victorious and all things are good and happy, but this one definitely brings us to a turn and things might not end so well for Speed. So we're gonna speed into the next issue to see if he makes it. I'm going to take another drink of the really delicious wine that we're drinking. This is Laurent Delaunay, and it's I already forgot what it was. Beaujolais. Yes, I was like, I have to read the bottle. Oh my God, there's so much in there. It's a great wine.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens when I spend an hour reading all of the tags.
All of the tags. And so it says that this is one of Burgundy's most famous wine families makes this wine. I see why they're famous.
This is Beaujolais. They have their own thing, I could imagine.
They have their own village.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It has a secondary flavor that comes in on the back end.
No, Laurent Delaunay is the person who makes it. That's why it's called that. And they are a 5th generation winemaker and part of Burgundy's most famous wine families. So,
wow.
This is a person that is a part of that family.
They had 2 different Laurent Delaunays.
Well, apparently Laurent is making some wine.
Laurent rules.
Right, way to go, Laurent. Good job. You're kicking wine butt, buddy.
Wow. It's like building.
Yeah, it's got a lot of flavor that just like keeps opening up in your mouth. Like not just in the glass, but like in your mouth, which is crazy.
Wow.
What a perfect cover to come after I say it's building in your mouth. Look at that. This is perfectly timed. This is Skin Police Volume 2, Issue 3 from Oni Press. If you haven't read Skin Police, it's a very Philip K. Dick kind of story, but like an action version. And this is all about a world where basically they started figuring out how to clone and duplicate people, only to then have the people, because you couldn't have babies naturally anymore, and only to have those duplicates start to explode and them feel like, oh my God, that's dangerous, you shouldn't be allowed to do it anymore. So of course then they outlaw duplicating, but then they have to they're trying to round up all the duplicates. All kinds of things happen in Volume 1. This is Volume 2, which if you read Volume 1, you know that we found out that there is somebody who is kind of realizing that the world that they've been in is not real, and that maybe they are a duplicate, and maybe things are the police and all of the people, the different organizations may be more corrupt. We get to see this moment in here where the duplicate and the original person come face to face and realize that they're going to have to stand together, and they're going to have to actually start fighting, and this rebellion is going to have to get a lot bigger if things are going to happen. This world just kind of keeps getting more and more adventurous with what it does, and we get to see more and more of each of these characters. It is great. If you are a fan of really like heavy sci-fi stories in that capacity, like, you should definitely check this one out because it's got so much into it. And I just saw the back of the book, which I'm very excited about because it's on the back of all the Oni books, but Nick Cagnetti has a new book coming out in January, and I'm so excited. You guys, if you didn't, this is called Spirits of Shadow, but I know I just gave Katie pink lemonade the other day, and I'm so excited for, look at that awesome art.
Is that the same person? Oh, I wanted you.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this book. This is going to be a great story. I don't even know what's going to happen in it. I just know that the art's going to look cool because the art in pink lemonade is so cool. We've got 7 Years in Darkness. This is year 3, issue 3 from Midnight Factory. This is such a wild story. If you haven't read it, it's really hard to read because we need more volume 1s. But if you don't know the story, this is all about, it's essentially Harry Potter for adults. It's all about a world where there are a bunch of magical families. They send their kids off to school for 7 years. Not all of the people make it. In fact, most of them will die in their training. And as you've been reading in volumes 1 and 2, you have seen a lot of them do just that. Whole houses of the school have just completely disappeared from the school and been completely wiped off. But we've been following a couple of people who have been some of our like lead characters of the different houses, one of which is Matthew. And Matthew has been experiencing some big changes in this volume as he was attacked by something that came into the school, and the only way to save him was to actually have one of the teachers actually turn him into a vampire, essentially. And so that is like Matthew, they kind of being exposed to that and explaining that to everybody for the first time. And this issue actually gives them the first day off, essentially, that they've ever had. And so the kids are getting to take off their mask and actually talk to each other and see what's going on in the world. And all they're learning is that it's very dark and dangerous and nothing is good in this world. And more bad things are coming their way. And the only one that seems to ever really know that is Matthew's familiar, who is a black cat and is kind of the only one doing the research to tell us what is going to happen next. We've got Eat Your Young, issue 3 from Mad Cave. This is such a crazy story. This is all about a family where basically the lead of the family, the dad of the family, is an immortal and lives for thousands and thousands of years. And then essentially every so many years, it comes a point where there can be a challenge for who will be the alpha. And within that time period, when that challenge is open, every one of their offspring becomes mortal, as well as them. And there's essentially this battle royale for who is going to actually be the new alpha and who will get to continue to be immortal. And whoever doesn't win, even if they don't get killed, they lose their immortality. And so we are seeing the literal hundreds of descendants of this person teaming up and going after them to try to figure out who's going to be the new alpha and who's going to possibly kill the dad, who's going to take over. And we're seeing alliances getting formed, but we're also seeing a lot of people turn and stab each other in the back, quite literally, very quickly. And the team of people who are actually trying to protect their dad so they can all keep going the way things are also exist. And so there's a lot of underhandedness going as this story just kind of keeps heating up. This is done by Brian Bucoletto, who also did Chicken Devil. So if you are a fan of that series that came out, which was essentially just a crazy off-the-wall version of Breaking Bad, you're definitely going to like this too. Cal Exit, The Battle of Universal City, issue 3 from Black Mask. This is the newest volume in the Cal Exit series, but if you haven't read Cal Exit, this is actually a spot where you can jump in and learn all about it and still feel really okay. And part of that is because they do a really great job breaking down everything that's ever happened in Cal Exit and all of the different characters that are in it. And so if you're ooh, I really want to read it, but I'm scared I'm going to be lost, don't worry, you can jump in. Basically, the story is California seceded, and they are not a part of America anymore, but part of it is, and there's all the different people in there. So it's essentially this war zone, and people are trying to get, different things kind of taken care of. And one of the ways that they are doing is there's a lady who runs a revolutionary group, and she has been kind of the leader of this. And in this battle of Universal City, she is actually trying to get from where she was to like the safe zone that they need her to be in. So they're trying to get her out of the space because she is too much of a target now. Well, the only way out is through Universal City and Universal Studios specifically. And so she's been making her way through there with a guy who is supposed to be one of those neutral people. He kind of just deals different things like arms dealers and stuff like that to different both sides of the story, and he's never really made a decision. But in this issue, he's actually going to have to figure out what side he's going to be on, because as they come after her, a lot of his friends are getting stuck in the crossfire, and he's noticing that people on both sides are getting mistreated by both sides, and that's kind of why he stayed out of it all this time. But now he's like, hey, maybe there's more to this than I ever thought, and maybe I'm going to have to pick up a side, because if they're going to force me to choose one, I got to figure out which one's right. But it's such a good story, and always has a lot to say, as most Black Mass books do. We've got Quick Stops. This is Volume 3, Number 3 from Dark Horse and Kevin Smith. This Volume 3 has been different stories and different pieces of Kevin Smith movies, and this one's gonna take you into the world of Dogma. And so Jay and Silent Bob decide to steal Buddy Jesus from his place so that they can do a seance, essentially, and hopefully bring back Dante. And when they're trying to do it, they end up bringing forth an angel instead of the angel of death. They end up with the angel of Alan Rickman, who is actually a character, but I'm just going to call him the angel of Alan Rickman because that's what I got out of that movie. But anyway, they end up accidentally bringing him, and he is like, hey, you can't bring Buddy Jesus. You can't steal Buddy Jesus. You can't bring people back from the dead. Like, God doesn't allow that. She's not in favor of that. And you just kind of get a little bit of a lecture to Jay and Silent Bob about what you can't play with the Necrobobanon, as they call it, because it's Bob's version of the Necronomicon. They're like, you can't play with life and death. You can't do that. And then they talk a little bit, like they make some Dogma-related jokes, and take you on a little adventure where the two kind of have to learn that they can't just do whatever they want. And it's just a funny little story in the Jay and Silent Bob, Dogma, Kevin Smith, Clerks universe. It kind of crosses over into all of them in this one. So if you're a fan of any of the Kevin Smith world, you're definitely going to love this. The only thing I was sad about is in all of the issues, they've done like in memory of whoever from the universe passed away. Like they had one for Shannon Doherty, they had one for Dante, they have all these different things, and they didn't say anything about how they've lost Alan Rickman since Dogma, and I was really hoping that there would be like a little shout out to Alan Rickman, but it's okay. That's my shout out to Alan Rickman. We've got Tales of the Shadow Man, issue 3 from Valiant Books and Alien Books. This is bringing back the Shadow Man with a whole new story. Again, a great jumping in point if you haven't ever read it, because they do kind of explain who the Shadow Man is. And actually, that's part of the story, because he has seemed to forgotten who he was before he became the Shadow Man. And so part of this adventure is actually trying to figure that out themselves. But this is following along as Shadow Man is being brought over from another realm the afterlife itself, to kind of help this police officer in New Orleans who is dealing with a demon who has come in and started murdering people, and they are trying to figure it out. And of course, the cops can't seem to get a handle on it, because it is a twisted man who changes shape at all times. And so only this cop and Shadow Man seem to be able to figure it out. We find out in this issue that there is more to it than just the one, but it turns out that there are 5 evil beings who are trying to, like this brotherhood of demons essentially, that are going to bring about an apocalypse. And it seems as though only our cop and Shadow Man will know that it's happening, nonetheless are able to actually do anything to stop it. Meanwhile, Shadow Man himself, as I said, is kind of figuring out what his identity is and who he was prior to becoming the Loa, and so he's trying to deal with that at the same time. We've got Archie versus Minor Threats, issue 3 from Dark Horse and Archie Comics, and our friends Patton Oswalt, Jordan Blum, and of course Timmy Heeg. Shout out to Timmy. This is great. If you've been following this story, issue 1 took the Archie characters on an adventure into the world of the Minor Threats, and which is Patton Oswalt and Jordan Blum's big, dark, super villain story that's all about the villains who haven't actually become like good villains. They're, again, minor threats. And we found out that a magic person was trying to bring about some very dastardly changes, and they were trying to find this magic top hat. Sabrina is the only one who could stop them, so she's been trying to do just that. Unfortunately, in issue 2, the Archie gang ended up all a part of like the Minor Threats world. This time, we see the Minor Threats characters being a part of the Archie world, and now they're the ones from Riverdale who live the cute, adorable lives. And our people from the Archie realm are actually the people who live in the darkness and are the villains that get like Archie as this evil like mastermind villain. It's hilarious. I love it so much. And so they're actually coming to a point where they're going to have to, the Minor Threats people have to actually live out a Riverdale plot story to try to save the day. And that is that Frankie, who is our head villain in the Minor Threats world, is going to have to actually enter into the talent show where the prize is the very item that they need to discover in order to stop all of this. And Sabrina needs them to do it. But unfortunately, Frankie doesn't want to prove that she's a ventriloquist and that she plays with toys. That's her little Archie world secret. And so they are going to have to actually get over that. Meanwhile, the Archie evil villains have come in trying to find the thing that they need, and there is not much help. I love that they made Jughead essentially Dr. Manhattan. It's so great. And they end up opening up some very crazy, terrible things for the whole world. It's going to get really dark and twisted, and we're going to see a lot more of the Archie universe open up in the next issue, and I'm super duper excited to see exactly where this is going to take us. As a huge Archie fan, I just find myself yelling like, oh my god, yes, do it, let's go there, and then they do. So thank you, Timmy, because I know you are also a huge Archie fan who wants to throw in all of the Easter eggs, so thank you for doing that. We Don't Kill Spiders, Season of the Witch, issue 2 from Midnight Factory. This is volume 2 of We Don't Kill Spiders, but it is going on a different story adventure. So if you didn't read the first one, you might have like a little bit of gap in some of your knowledge, but you can kind of piece it together as the story goes on. We Don't Kill Spiders is about a woman who is a witch, who is paired up with a Viking who is a detective in that time period. And in the first volume, she's kind of trying to figure out her own magic and all of the accusations against her. In this volume, they have gone on this different quest to figure out why people are being killed in this one particular town. And in this issue, we actually find out that there is a brotherhood, a cult, essentially, of this different goddess who is this, like, goat woman, and she is kind of they all have this like obsession with her in this village, and they're starting to sacrifice people and kill them in her name, and nobody can figure that out except for our witch, because she has the ability to cross into that dark side and that world, and she has to kind of deal with that on her own, except for the fact that nobody in the town trusts her to do that because they don't trust witches because of all of this. And so we get to see her trying to figure out how to navigate that, and also how to learn to trust her partner, who they're in a new relationship in this volume that they weren't in before. We've got Toxic Crusaders issue 2 from Ahoy Comics and our buddy Matt Bors. It's just such a fun book when getting to see the Toxic Crusaders team up and go on a wild ride. And if you haven't been reading Toxic Avenger, or if you don't know the story of the Toxic Avenger, you may not know that basically in the town of Tromaville, toxic waste was spilled out for various reasons. This one, it is a corporate greed kind of situation, and the Smogulans, who are these evil alien bugs, have taken over, and they are trying to use corporate greed essentially in their favor. And in the first issue, it was kind of geared, one Smogulan leader was trying to do things through his method of corporate greed, and in this one they decide that the best way to control the people is by controlling the stock market. And by, you know, kind of crashing that, and they're like, oh, if we crash the stock market and people don't have money, then they can't buy food, then they can't do these things. And if they don't have the ability to have their own homes, like they can't buy their own homes. In fact, the banks own their homes, and then we're going to just close those banks, and then they don't own their home anymore. And then it's like, oh, you don't own your land either because this organization has it. And by the way, we're going to close this job, and now nobody has jobs. And again, the stock market's bad, so you have no food. And so they're trying to figure out just different ways that they can control people. And the only people who can see through all of that are the Toxic Crusaders, because they kind of don't need any of that. And they're the only people who can fight for this. And so Toxie and his team go out. But after the last issue where No Zone and Fun Girl went a little too hardcore, they've been benched for this issue, because if you're, they got to learn that there's non-violent ways to solve things. But if you know anything about the Toxic Crusaders, they've never figured out the non-violent way to solve things. So we'll see how that works out for any of them. We've got Savager issue 2 from Panic Comics. If you are a fan of Venom and you have not picked up Savager, you absolutely need to pick up Savager. This is such a great like indie version of Venom. Essentially, there was an alien invasion, and people were killed by these symbiotic creatures that kind of took over these aliens. And one man fused with a symbiote, and he has been living in this world since then as the Savager, who goes against all of the evil aliens and has been killing them. And him and his symbiotic alien, they have been fighting together against all of that. Well, for so long, they haven't seen any other people. And every time they find any signs of life, it turns out that those people haven't been alive in a long time, actually. And so in the last issue at the end, he kind of saw his first teaser of some people. And so he's gone into this place and actually is able to find a little group of resistance fighters that are still alive. And they have lost one of their people out into the world, and they need to go back and find the scout who just happens to be related to their leader. And so when they go out to do that, they have an epic battle. But if they don't save him and the aliens get him, they have ways of figuring out what's going on in your mind and kind of getting downloading all of your information out of you. And if they do get that information from him, it may be the end of what's left of humanity. And so they have one chance to kind of save the day, and you're going to see how that plays out when you buy this really soft, beautiful, crushed, velvety feeling book. I just love the way Panic books feel. We've got Little Nightmares: Descent into Nowhere issue 2 from Titan Comics. This is such an interesting story because we are getting two different stories kind of tied together and kind of not at this point. We're following along as a detective is figuring out what is happening. There's something going on with children in this area, and a lot of them are being brought to this one asylum, and we're seeing the detective story as the main story and what they're going through and all the things that they're finding out. But then we get to see what the children are experiencing. And essentially at night, when the children should be having sleep-filled nights of happiness, they are slipping into this other world, and they're seeing all these monsters. And we are following one particular little girl who is trapped in this world, and she can't speak in either the real world or this nightmare world. And all the time that she's going through the nightmare world, she's seeing these creatures and these things, and she's starting to notice in this issue that other children are there, and maybe they'll be able to make an alliance. Meanwhile, the detective is struggling to figure out some of the big pieces of the puzzle that are actually like evading her, that could maybe help her figure out what's going on with all these kids. But things just seem to be slipping away every time, and whether or not these paths are going to cross over, I hope we see soon. We've got Orphan and the Five Beasts, Bath of Blood. This is issue 2 from Dark Horse. This is volume 2 of Orphan and the Five Beasts, and you do have to read volume 1 because this volume picks up exactly like on the same page that volume 1 ended. But this is all about a girl who was orphaned after some demons killed her family. And so she decides that she is going to have a Ronin experience. And so she goes and is trained by this master who doesn't train people anymore, and then is going after the demons that captured them and or killed her family. And so she's killed a couple of them, and in the first issue of this one, she finishes up a battle against one and is going after another one when she is caught by essentially the inspector of the area, who is trying to figure out who is actually the problem here. And in that exposure of, hey, this is demons and there's monsters, they kind of lead into a team up between the two of them. And when they go and are chasing after the person that they believe is going to lead them to the demon, they actually end up following the wrong way, and the demon gets to expose the world in a new way. Really cool. James Stokey is doing some really detailed, hyper detailed art for these, and so you're always finding yourself kind of drawn into all the little details that make up each of his hyper stylized pages, and a big adventure, but definitely a cool story. White House Robot Romance, issue 2 from Distillery. All right, so this is one of my absolute favorite books that is on the shelf right now. Chip Zdarsky is killing it with this. I have to say that just going into it. It's such a good story. If you didn't read issue 1, you need to catch up immediately. But this is the story of 2 robots that work in the White House. And one of them is a chef, and one of them is the personal security robot for the president. And their programming is changed by their computer programmer, and they are able to actually feel more emotions than they're supposed to be. And because of that, they realize just how much these 2 robots are in love. And they decide that they are going to run away so that they can be together, because one of them is about to be decommissioned and they don't want to lose each other. So they decide to run away. And so they did just that in issue 1, and now in issue 2, they've gone to the home of the daughter of the creator of them, and are looking for help, kind of tracking chips out, and maybe figuring out where they can go and what they can do. And she's like, look, I don't know anything about robotics, and I don't know anything about my dad. He was a terrible parent. And now you've dragged me into your war, and I don't want to be a part of it. Meanwhile, in this series, in this completely made up series, America is trying to invade Canada, and there is a Canadian Liberation Force that is trying to get the information that can save the day. And so they are also trying to get these robots, and the White House is also trying to get these robots back. And the people who reprogrammed the robots so that they could feel emotions are also trying to get these robots back. So you've got these 3 different groups all trying to keep these robots in their sights and get them and control them. And they just want to live their nice life away from away from the world, happily in love. A great action story, a great love story, a great story of just political thriller. There's so much that Chip Zdarsky is putting into the story, and so much heart and thought in every page. It's so good. I don't know how we get movies out of comics, but if we could just make this into a movie, I would watch it, and it would be amazing. So let's just do that. All right, we got some number 1s. We got Toy Box Guardian number, this is actually a one-shot, I was going to say 1, but it is a one-shot, from Antarctic Press, and this is kind of an adult version of Toy Story. This is all about a group of toys who, they come to life at night when the kids are sleeping, and it kind of follows the treasure troll. And he's very sad because he feels like the kids don't like him, and he's an unpopular toy, and he's always just used as the throwaway toy. Well, their job is to actually keep this darkness from attacking the children and this dark spirit that comes in. And so they actually find themselves in an epic battle that night to try to keep their child safe. And unfortunately, there are some other toys who have changed sides and are actually fighting on the side of the dark spirit. So we get a battle between the toys in this issue. And we get to see what side everybody's on and where they fall, and how our little treasure troll can play as a part of the team. And so it's just a fun little one-shot action story. Like I said, feels very much like an adult Toy Story. We've got Thundercats Pumara. This is from Dynamite, and of course their Thundercats line. And Kumar has been in some of the Thundercat stuff, and we haven't really learned a lot of their backstory. And so this is actually starting out, this issue starts out at her childhood and shows her dad being a former member of the Thundercats Guard, and how he was going to, like, he decided to leave that world and go live on a farm and have a nice, peaceful life, only for them to come after him. And she actually watches both of her parents get slain in front of her, and how it really just changes everything about her. And so she's taken into the, like, Thundercats training academy, and she's got this massive chip on her shoulder, and they can't seem to get her to learn how to work with other people. And one of the days in her training, she accidentally breaks another Thundercat girl in training's arm. And so her job is, she gets assigned to take care of that girl until she heals. And through that, she learns a little bit more about compassion, which is really good, because Jaga actually offers her a chance at the revenge that she's always wanted. And when she goes looking for that revenge, she learns a lot about herself in the process. Impact Winter Evenfall from Image Skybound, and this is a one-shot, and we get an Impact Winter one-shot probably about once a year right now. This is an Audible book series like that goes on, and they give us these one-shots in the comic book world to kind of tell us a little bit more of the story, or to tell us all the story that we're getting on our side. But this story follows a woman. She is going back to a place that she used to live as an agent, and she talks about the secret agent work that she did, and how a lot of women, like all the young girls that were sent out on this one assignment, were constantly ending up dead, and she ended up choosing to take the assignment that they assigned to somebody else so that she could go out and figure out what was going on. And when she gets there, the old man who is her leader and her like handler essentially introduces her to a young man, and she immediately suspects that he's the bad guy. And he tells her that his belief is that there is a woman that everybody talks about who is in fact a vampire, and maybe she's the demon who's killing all of the young girls. And then we do get to see how this plays out. And again, this is a one-shot, so I don't want to tell you everything, but we get to see this woman interact with the man that she doesn't trust, the young man she doesn't trust, the old man that she doesn't trust. I'm trying to find a page that won't spoil too much. All the people that she has to investigate and figure out who it is, and how she eventually like finds her own power in this story and where that comes from. If you're looking for just a great vampire one-shot, this is going to be a really fun one, because it does make a spy thriller and a vampire story meet, which is a really cool genre mashup. Speaking of, we have Dynamite, Blood Red, issue 1 from Dynamite. I don't bring all the different Vampirellas and Red Sonjas because there's like 7,000 of them all the time. But I thought, why not bring the one where they all kind of come together? So if you don't know, the Dynamite is always the crossover, like D-I-E, Dynamite is a crossover that brings those worlds kind of together. And in this series, there is exactly that. There's basically men are turning into zombies, and they're just men. It is not impacting, like this virus is like not impacting women at all. And so the women are having like cage fights for the male zombies and things like that. And you see like Miss Fury and a bunch of the other classic Dynamite characters and beyond, like, you know, the ones that they have now, are all on this team, and they kind of run the world against them. And I believe that Purgatory might be the one that's actually completely in charge. Now I don't remember. But they're trying to figure out what is going on, and there seems to be some people missing. Women are starting to despair. Things are happening, and the only person who can help with that is the detective, our noir detective, who happens to be Vampirella. And I love that she gets to be the detective. I would have thought that you would expect it to be like Miss Fury, who would be the detective, but in fact, it is not. And some big stuff goes down. A spaceship comes crashing in, and we are all trying to figure out who is going to be in that spaceship, and you do get a little tease of that at the end. But if you like all of the female characters that Dynamite has in its repertoire, you are going to see a bunch of them come together. Good guys, bad guys, everywhere in between in this story, and it's just going to be a fun popcorn comic kind of story. We've got Death Dog, issue 1 from Ahoy Comics. This is going to be such a fun story. This follows a group of people who are scientists who develop a way to essentially engineer like the perfect dog when dogs go extinct. And so they create these dogs that are kind of like android dogs. Well, the people decide that they're too cute and cuddly, and corporations want to have dogs, but they want them to be something that is like evil and mean. And so they get decommissioned and the company goes under. And so one of the girls is like, it's okay, I found a way to like essentially resurrect our dog in the future, our last little cute adorable friend. Well, we fast forward to that future 364 days, 23 hours, 59 minutes, and 49 seconds later, and we get to see a kid who's being attacked as if he stole a bunch of stuff. And this dog from this corporate, like this retail store, is like the loss prevention, because these dogs are loss prevention death dogs now, and he's being attacked by it, and it's like, well, I'm gonna rip off your arm, which one would you like? And suddenly in the middle of it, the dog has an awakening, and our cute cuddly furry friend's mind awakens inside of this death dog, and suddenly this boy is no longer in danger of any attacks, but in danger of all of the licks and kisses that he didn't know. And he's never seen a cute dog. He's never known a real nice dog, because there are no dogs, because dogs went extinct a long time ago. And so this kid and this dog kind of become friends, and he's got a hard life, and this dog is going to be the only thing that kind of helps him through it. And this is going to definitely be an adorable story of these two building a friendship for sure. We've got Circus Maximus issue 1 from Mad Cave. This is going to be your like epic bank heist story in ancient Rome. And so this is at the time when Nero was ruling Rome. It follows a couple of people, and starts with a man who is a slave for one of the not like he's just one of the rich guys in Rome, and he gets very upset because his daughter is in love with this slave man, and so he ends up sending her off to be a priestess for one of the Vestal Virgins, and selling this guy off into a different world. And now the two have still kept their relationship going in secret, obviously just continuing to be friends and to be there for each other and to plan for the love that is still growing between them. And then they have another friend who is a chariot driver who is in all of the competitions, and so they are planning that they are going to rob all of the riches from Nero and all of the people that they can during one of the epic games. And so it's crazy because you need your getaway driver, but so they have to have a chariot driver. It's so funny to see all of the the tropes of all the different kinds of people that you have to have in a heist story, except they're all characters in ancient Rome. Meanwhile, this is around the same time where Nero's about to burn all of the city down, and so we're gonna see all of that kind of come together in this. It's big adventure that's already starting out really strong. We've got Monster High Shock and Awe. This is a one-shot from the Monster High world. This is reprinting some of the stuff that was in I Only Have Eye for You, but we're getting all these one-shots that just kind of tell us about each of the different characters. And this one is about Scara and Visibility, as they have a great chance where they are trying to figure out a nice day to have a great date for the Scaredy Hawkins dance that we've been seeing all of these kind of connect to for this one-shot series. And they have their little critters that they were given, and when Frankie zaps them into life, she accidentally switches their bodies. And so it's also supposed to be the night of the big slumber party between all the girls, so they decide to go over there to see if they can find Frankie. And so Billy is inside of Scara's body and is like, oh my god, this is my chance to learn what girls talk about, and then learns that girls don't talk about boys at all. And he's so disappointed because he thought that girls would just sit around and talk about all the boys, and he was going to be the hero and know all the stuff that the girls thought of all their boyfriends. But in reality, they just talk about fun stuff and being friends and doing cute things. And he was like, wow, I really don't want to be a problem. And they end up having just this really cute body swap story. Definitely a fun time. And if you like Monster High, these are always just really fun stories that you get to see a little bit more about the characters we don't hear from all the time. We've got No Place #1 from Ignition Press. This is the newest launch from Ignition. I think this is the 4th book to come out of Ignition. And yet another fun, different kind of story that they've got going on. This follows a young girl who everybody thought was kidnapped when she disappeared for a long time. And she lived in Chicago, and so all of her people, like all of her friends and everybody, were like, oh, she just was kidnapped or ran away or something. Well, she ends up coming back and telling everybody that she was in this magical place that nobody's ever heard of, and she kind of had a Narnia-like experience where she was ruling this kingdom and everything was great and wonderful, and it was this magical jungle land and awesome adventures that happened, and nobody, of course, believes her. And now she's starting to see some weird things happening, and she gets called in by a guy who takes her to a place of a secret society that tells her that there are these magical worlds and that you can go through these portals to them, but that things are happening and bad things are on their way. These worlds are starting to disappear, and these dangerous things are coming after our world. And this secret society is led by one of the first, like, big adventurers in these, which is, of course, Dorothy Gale, and who made it back from the land of Oz and came back to kind of protect our town when our world, when her world came into danger. And so she is here, and she's ruling this secret society, and she's trying to have this girl help them. Of course, she doesn't want to, because she's mad that nobody believed her and that everything has been just absolutely crazy, only to find out that now maybe, just maybe, she has to help these people, and we're going to see her join up into this organization for a fantasy, like a sci-fi fantasy kind of experience. They call it a creepy Lovecraftian nightmare that's also going to blend in with all those fantasy stories that we love. So I think if you're looking for a Never Wars that takes place in our world instead of the imaginary worlds, I think you're going to see that in this story. We've got Space Scouts issue 1 from Dark Horse and the Flex House imprint, which is Matt Kent. This is a fun battle royale kind of story, very Hunger Games-esque. This is all about a girl who lives in this post-apocalyptic sci-fi society, and she is one of the people who has a magic power, and it seems like they're very rare for people to evolve to have these powers, and when they are, they get taken to join the Space Scouts, and she has no desire to do that, but her family signs her up for it and is like, you should just do it because it's good for us and our kingdom, our neighborhood of people. And so she goes to this, and she's like, I'm just going to fail out on purpose because I don't want to do it. But then when she gets there, she actually has fun, and she ends up meeting somebody in the process that she saves, and she's like happy to be friends with them, and then kind of develops her own friendship. And then you do get to see all the different challenges. And so it's part it feels very Hunger Games because it is part like reality TV show, part adventures to join a team that can actually save the planet. And so we do get to see like how they're chosen, not only by the challenges that they defeat, but also by maybe a secret vote on social media, or maybe this like fandom favorites and things like that. Really great world building already, like one of those where I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to see it. I think this is great if you're fans of like the Hunger Games, but also if you like things like I Heart Skull Crusher. It has a lot of that same like vibe that Trini puts out in her, like, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do this, and now I'm excited about doing it, and like all the like action-packedness of that with all the heart, it kind of has a lot of those same feels in it. All right, I'm going to take another drink before I talk about picks of the week. That's delicious. Now it tastes more cherry. I knew cherry would eventually become the stronger flavor. It always does. It always does. If you put a lot of cherry in your thing, your wine, it eventually floats to the like flavor palette.
It still has the floralness.
Yeah, it's still, and especially on the aftertaste. The aftertaste lingers with that. Yeah, I see that just kicked in.
It just evolves again.
Yeah. All right, we've got our 3 picks of the week. I'm really excited about this first one, really for the concept. It's a thing that I feel like we have done a lot in storytelling, but it's been a while since I've seen it in comics, so I'm really excited about it. But this is Crownsville #1 from Oni Press and Rodney Barnes, and Rodney Barnes is such a great storyteller for those like creepy horror feelings, and this is definitely another one of those books that we're going to see that. This is all about Crownsville, which was a state hospital opened in 1911 in Maryland, and it's supposed to be like they they kind of just used it for people of color. And what I love about this story is he actually gives us 3 different stories in one. And so one of them follows a man at the very beginning whose mother is dying, and she tells him she used to be a nurse at Crownsville, and that there was a lot of dark, terrible things that they did to a bunch of children. And she's trying to tell him the story and what actually happened, and she dies before she can even get the words out. Meanwhile, he also immediately finds out that he's being let go from his job, where he's an investigative journalist. They're like, hey, we know your mom, like, literally died today, but we're forcing you into retirement. And he's like, what a great day. And they're like, you have 1 month left. You get to cover one story, and it's going to be on Crownsville. Meanwhile, we're also seeing a guy who is trying to build a life for him and his wife and their 2 young kids. And so he takes a job as a security guard at Crownsville, and is supposed to be watching this building, which they're going to be demolishing. It's supposed to be that the building is going away. And then the third story is from a homicide detective, and who's kind of dealing with a lot of the stuff, and who was around during all of the Crownsville things. So we're seeing all of these 3 stories kind of intersecting around this building, again, that's supposed to be demolished, that is filled with the very angry ghost of these children that something happened to. And so we're also getting a 4th story, which is the story of the kids, and we get to see back in time and the stuff that they did. And I'm going to show you, like, I think like demon children stories can get to be some of the spookiest, creepiest things. And this poor guy who is like the guy that's the security guard on there, he is hearing all of the conversations floating through that happened all of that time ago. And so he's having all these moments where he keeps going. His first day on the job, like something really dark and like creepy happens that's like actually happens like in real life, not like ghosty. But then he also has a lot of dark ghost stuff. There are so many layers to this story, and yet at the base of it, we're getting one of those like haunted asylum stories, which is the thing that I'm like, we haven't really done a lot of that in comics recently, and we haven't really done it in a slow, like, jump scare meets slow sense of dread kind of story. And you know with Rodney Barnes that there's going to be so many layers of what does this say? What does this mean? How does this impact people in real life? And so putting all of that together makes for a really great start for a really great story. And I have a feeling that as Crownsville goes on, it's only going to get darker and creepier, and all of those stories are going to unroll into a lot. And I can't wait to see how they intersect and learn exactly what happened to those children. It's gonna be wild. We've got the return of Assorted Crisis Events with Assorted Crisis Events issue 6 from Image Comics. You're going to probably cry or be real sad when you read this issue, but it's so well done. This is, and I'm gonna get the name of the disease wrong, but this is all about a woman whose husband has retrograde temporal diminishment, which is basically the Assorted Crisis Events version of dementia. And this is, since it is a anthology series about people who have different time displacement, instead of it forming just in the mind, what happens is the body also changes. And so in this story, this woman's husband will wake up one day and he is like a small, like 5-year-old child. And then he wakes up another day and he's an 85-year-old man. And she talks about how there's good days and bad days, and on the good days they can eat breakfast together. I love this page. They can eat breakfast together because they eat breakfast together every day, but on a good day he can laugh and tell jokes at breakfast, and he can remember events in their lives. And on the bad days he's crying for his mom, or he's crying for death, or he doesn't know who she is, or all of these terrible things. And it's just the story of this woman really trying to hold it all together while her husband is trying to fit the pieces of his life together, and she's trying to do it. And it's really, really beautifully done. Like, I would imagine that Dennis Camp has had an experience with somebody in his life having dementia, because this is somebody who's definitely seen those experiences. And it's so incredibly profound. It does have that like Ice Cream Man like sense of dread, and yet at the same time also has the usual Ice Cream Man like little glimmer of hope like that feeling that like life can be hard, but you still want to live it. And this has that for sure. And it makes you want to also just hug your loved ones when you read this issue. Like you finish it and you wipe the tears from your eyes and you tell somebody you love them. And if you don't even read the book, just remember to tell somebody that you love them today, because it's like, she says in there, at one point, she's like, the whole thing is there's good days and bad days the whole way through. And then there's this point in there where she's like, there are days. It doesn't matter if they're good or bad. There's days and we have them together and we have to do with them what we can when we have them. And I think that's just the beauty of the messages of books like A Sword Crisis is that it's like, hey, like things can get really bad and the world can be really terrible. But remember, like you're here and you're here for a reason and you're connecting with people for a reason, and just do what you can with that time, because that's what makes it beautiful. And lastly, you already knew that this was going to be it if you know me at all, but the third pick of the week is the Ice Cream Man Mortal Coil Shuffle. This is, I believe, the first time ever that somebody has printed their issue of a comic book on a deck of playing cards. And as W. Maxwell Prince says, this may be the last time ever that anybody prints their whole issue of a comic on a deck of playing cards. So this is actually, I'm going to fan it out for you. This is actually literally the issue of the comic, and it is done on 55 different cards. And if you know Ice Cream Man is always looking for different ways to play with the medium, and I think this definitely takes the cake for best way to play with the medium. And good luck to everybody else in the 2025 Batastic Awards for Best Single Issue, because, come on, they printed it on a deck of cards. It is labeled on the bottom, so you can actually, like, keep it in order. They say not to shuffle them, but if for some reason you drop all your cards, they do have the numbers, like 1 through 55. But as with all things Ice Cream Man, this is a story of existential dread. I was like, I don't... Okay, I was like, where's the best place to hold something so tiny? This is the story of a family that is being torn apart by divorce. The husband has a gambling problem, and he is making bad choices. He ends up taking all of their savings, and I'm going to try to switch to something further along. He takes all their savings, and he is using it inappropriately and gambling it all away. They get a divorce. The young son gets really, really sick. The mom gets really, really depressed. The dad makes terrible choices. And we get to see how so much of that plays out. I do want to show you some of the cool things they did. There is, because it's Ice Cream Man, there's a point in the story, like, where he talks about, like, the cards that he's getting while he's gambling. So he actually, like, you actually see actual playing cards in the story as he gets different cards from the gambling situation. But there's a point in the story too where I love this, where we get to see the kid sees somebody outside of the school, and he gets really nervous about it, and why is this guy there, and what is he doing, and why is he like kind of following him. And then immediately after that, we see the kid go to his school after school club, and you're like, oh, okay, so like this is building towards something cool. And because it's W. Maxwell Prince, it gets weird. There's suddenly an Uno reverse card. And it's like, whoa, okay, the story reverses. And before you go back and try to read, remember, you just keep going. So actually the next card takes you back to exactly where he went to reverse back to. And so there's these really cool things that you've got to check out. And it's just such a fascinating way to like tell a story and put it all together. And so if you didn't get to check it out, I know we have some more copies coming in because we're so excited about it. But they are not going to collect this in any other fashion because there's no way to put it into a thing and talk about it. So if you want to read it, this is the only way to read it. Matt, I'm not telling you any more stuff about the story. So you can actually you have to grab it in this deck. So if your local comic shop doesn't have it, make sure you find it in the deck because it's the only way to read it. All right. All right, so that's all the books I have for you this week. I'm going to run through all of the other things that came out really fast for you. We got a second print of Viking Moon out this week. Spirits of Violence hit issue 2. Gotham Academy is back with the first year, and this is also issue 2. Echo got the Marvel Voices title this year, so Secret of Truth, and this is a one-shot for that. Cheetah and Cheshire robbed the Justice League hit issue 4. Batgirl hit issue 13. For your Age of Revelation, we had Laura Kinney's Sabretooth hit issue 2, as well as Long Shots, Amazing X-Men, and Binary all getting issues 2. DC KO hit Knife Fight. This is that part of your DC KO, and if you don't know, your event should have, and I don't know if it's in the back of this, but there is in the DCKO proper, I believe there's a bracket so you can follow along. Ultimate X-Men hit issue 21, Adventures of Superman Book of L issue 3, Miles Morales issue 40, that's awesome. Scorch hit issue 46 as each of the Spawn books are working toward their way towards 50. Poison Ivy issue 38, Moon Knight Fist of Khonshu issue 14, Birds of Prey hit issue 27, Avengers issue 32, Absolute Superman is on issue 13, and Absolute Green Lantern hit issue 8 this week. So always some fun going on in your Absolute universe that you got to keep up with, and it's about to get really wild because crossovers and things are coming soon. We also have a bunch of graphic novels and trades out this week. Fruit Salad, Pastimes, and Dog Tangle are just some of the cool little graphic novels we have coming in from these are both Pow Pow and Fantagraphics. We've got, this is coming last, we got a new novel in Deadly Ever After. I'm really excited about this. This is all about a girl who, you know, wants to have that perfect princess life and all the bad things that happen when trying to build that. Not everything is going to lead to a happily ever after. Zatanna, issues 1 through 6 of the new Jamal Campbell Zatanna is actually collected into trade paperback and hardcover now. Volume 2 of Golden Rage is out, if you didn't catch that story, as well as the full Slasher's Apprentice. Huge Detective from Titan Comics, which was so much fun. Violent Flowers, which was one of Maria Levitt's most recent stories. We've got Volume 2 of Red Coat from Ghost Machine. If you are not caught up on Red Coat, get yourself that trade paperback and catch up. It is still one of the books I didn't expect to love as much as I do, and I absolutely do love it. Shadows of the Sea. This is a really cool graphic novel about grief and the winding paths to healing, and just another one of those like big Fantagraphic adventures. And look at that cool art in there. There's so much going on in this story. I love to see all these books that Fantagraphics always has some really great ones. And I love this cover, speaking of great looking books, of Firefly, which is also really, really gorgeous on the inside. So I'm going to open that up. Look at that. So much going on there.
That's based on the show?
No, has nothing to do with the show Firefly.
I thought it was all week, so that's
no, not at all. This is absolutely, positively nothing to do with the show Firefly. Yeah, that is, I believe, published by Boom. And then, lastly, it wouldn't have been the 5th of November if we didn't have this with us. DC launched the compact version of V for Vendetta. This contains the entire V for Vendetta in compact size, and for $9.99. If you didn't get a copy this week, you need to rush out to your comic book store, because everybody should own a copy of V for Vendetta. There's so much in this book that is always poignant, and it's just fantastic, and this is Matt's favorite comic book of all time. So if you want to know what kind of comics, everybody always comes in and says, what comics does Matt like? Here it is, right here for $9.99. It fits in your Loungefly. This is the one. Come read it. And then, don't forget, like I said, if you are looking for something fun to do this Thursday night at 7 p.m., Fresh Start Book Club will be reading issue 1 of Black Magic. We've got copies available in the store for $1. You can come out, grab one of these, read it before, pick it up on Wednesday when you pick up your pools, and then come out to book club, or pick it up at book club. You can totally read it really quickly and have fun. That's all I got for you. Don't forget, not only do we have book club, we also have manga meetup at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, and we've got our chili cook-off, Chili Con Comics, on Saturday from 12 to 4 p.m. Still time to sign up to enter your chili, or you can just come and hang out and try some chilies for free. It's going to be a lot of fun. Don't forget to head out to your local comic shop to add all of these books to your pull list. Make sure you're picking them up and supporting those indie and small press creators. We will see you Wednesday at the shop for New Comic Book Day. Until then, happy reading, everyone. Bye.